Travis Kelce was catching his breath during a short water break at the Chiefs' practice facility on the afternoon of October 27th, 2025, when his phone began buzzing like it had a life of its own. At first, he ignored it. Practice days were always chaotic, but then it kept going. Buzz, buzz, buzz. It vibrated so hard it nearly slid off the bench. Patrick Mahomes glanced over. "Dude, your phone's blowing up. Everything okay?" Travis shrugged and grabbed it, assuming it was some update about a trade rumor or maybe a scheduling change. But the moment he unlocked the screen, a knot formed in his stomach. His notifications were overflowing. Twitter mentions, tags, screenshots. Trending. Hashtag Swift Kelce prenup. His pulse kicked up. He tapped the hashtag, and the very first post pinned to the top made his chest tighten. Exclusive. We've obtained details of Taylor Swift's prenuptial agreement for her upcoming marriage to Travis Kelce, and the terms are shocking. Full breakdown below. A thread. Patrick said something beside him, but Travis didn't hear a word. His fingers trembled slightly as he opened the post. The leaked details hit him like a blindside tackle. A 160-page prenuptial agreement drafted by Taylor's legal team. Months in the making. Scheduled to be presented to him this week, just 5 months before their wedding. And the terms, if they divorced before 5 years, he'd receive nothing. No claim to any assets. No part of her song catalog. No spousal support. Strict confidentiality. Violation penalties up to $10 million. All marital assets automatically considered hers unless stated otherwise in writing. Travis felt his stomach drop straight through the turf. This wasn't a contract. This was a legal fireproof bunker designed to keep him on the outside. He stared at the screen, rewriting the words in his head, hoping maybe he'd misread something. But no, the internet had already exploded. Millions of people dissecting every clause, every implication. She doesn't trust him. Smart woman protecting her empire. This is humiliating. He's worth $50 million. Why treat him like a gold digger? If I were Travis, I'd walk. He couldn't breathe. The worst part, the part that stung like a fresh burn, wasn't even the clauses. It was the fact that Taylor hadn't told him. Not a single word. "Trav, you good?" Patrick asked, stepping in front of him now. "I need to go," Travis said, voice low, almost foreign to his own ears. "I need to leave. Right now." "Why? What's going on?" But Travis was already walking off the field, phone tight in his hand, pulse hammering in his ears. He texted Taylor, "We need to talk. I'm coming home." Her reply came instantly. "I'm here." "What's wrong?" He didn't answer. He just drove. The 20-minute ride felt like an hour, his hands gripping the steering wheel hard enough to bleach his knuckles. Every line of that leaked document replayed in his head like a cruel highlight reel. When he pulled into their driveway, Taylor was already standing in the doorway, her face pale and panicked. "Travis," she called, rushing forward. "What happened? Why did you leave practice?" "You're scaring me." He held up his phone, the thread still glowing like a wound. "Is this real?" Her expression collapsed instantly. "Fear, guilt, shock." "Travis," she whispered, "I can explain." "Just answer me," he said, his voice sharp, trembling with hurt he couldn't hide. "Is this real?" She swallowed hard, tears already gathering. "Yes, but you had your lawyers draw up a 160-page prenup without telling me," he pressed. "You wrote that I get nothing if we divorce before 5 years? That I can't talk about our relationship, or I owe you $10 million. Please, Travis." "No," he snapped. "You tell me right now. Did you plan all of this behind my back?" Her silence was the loudest answer he'd ever heard, and it hurt more than he ever expected. Taylor's breath caught as Travis stepped inside, shutting the door behind him with a quiet heaviness that felt louder than a slam. The house was still. No music, no candles, no warmth. Just silence thick enough to suffocate. "Travis, please," she whispered, stepping closer. "Let me explain before you think the worst." He stared at her like he didn't recognize her anymore. "Explain what?" "That you were planning this for months without telling me." Taylor's eyes filled, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for his arm. "I wasn't hiding it from you. I just needed more time." "Time for what?" he demanded. To write a contract about how little you trust me? She flinched like he'd hit her. That's not fair, she said, voice breaking. You know how my life is. You know what I've been through. I've had people use me, betray me, steal from me. I've had relationships where the moment things ended, they sold stories to tabloids or tried to claim part of my work. I'm trying to protect what I built. I get that, Travis said, tone firm but wounded. I get protecting your career. I get protecting your music. Hell, you've had people come after you since you were a teenager. But Taylor, we're getting married. And you didn't tell me anything. Not one word. Tears slipped down her cheeks, quiet and unpolished. I was scared, she admitted. I didn't want to make you feel like I didn't trust you. I thought, if I gave it to you too early, you'd think I was choosing my career over us. And now, he asked, lifting his phone. Now the whole world thinks it. Taylor's shoulders shook. I never wanted it leaked, she whispered. This wasn't supposed to be public. It was a draft. Not even finished. I swear to you, I wasn't planning to just hand you this and say sign it. We were supposed to review it together. Travis looked away, jaw tight, breathing uneven. You should have told me. I know, she whispered. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. He rubbed a hand over his face, overwhelmed, hurt, exhausted. This isn't just a contract, hey. It's my dignity. My character. And now the whole world is treating me like I'm some guy chasing her money. She took a shaky breath. You're not. And I know that. I know who you are, Travis. Do you? He asked quietly. It broke something inside her. She stepped closer again, slower this time, like she was approaching a wounded animal that might bolt. I love you, she said, voice soft but firm. I love you more than anything. But I've been trained my whole life to protect myself first. I didn't realize how much that would hurt you. Travis swallowed hard. He didn't want to say the words forming in his chest, but they came anyway. Did you ever think, he said, voice low, that maybe protecting yourself meant you weren't ready for marriage? She froze. It was the one sentence she feared more than anything. Please don't say that, she whispered. Then tell me something real, he said. Not lawyer stuff. Not publicity stuff. Just you. Why didn't you come to me first? Taylor pressed a hand over her mouth, trying not to sob. Because every time I've trusted someone fully, she said, it cost me everything. And you're the one person I can't afford to lose. So I panicked. I tried to protect us in the worst possible way. Travis exhaled, long and shaky. His anger hadn't vanished, but something inside him shifted, softened. He could see she was genuinely breaking. This wasn't diva behavior. This was trauma. Fear. The scars of years in the spotlight. But hurt was still hurt. I need space, he finally said. I'm not walking away, but I need time to process this. Taylor's voice cracked. Can you stay tonight? Please? I don't want you leaving like this. I'll stay, he said, but I need some air. He stepped out onto the balcony, closing the sliding door behind him. Taylor pressed her palms to her eyes, sinking onto the couch. Her phone buzzed. Another headline. Another explosion online. Leaked prenup reveals crisis in Swift Kelsey engagement. She curled into herself, the weight crushing. She didn't just fear losing Travis. She feared she'd already broken him. Taylor stood in the middle of her Nashville kitchen, her hands pressed flat against the cool marble counter as she replayed the detective's words in her head. We need you to come down to the station. No explanation. No details. Just that quiet urgency that made her stomach twist. Her phone buzzed again. Travis. She answered on the first ring. Hey, babe, he said softly. You okay? You sound off. Taylor closed her eyes. Travis, something's going on. The LAPD called me. They wanted to come in. What? What? I don't know. They wouldn't say on the phone. Did they say if you're in trouble? No. But their tone, she swallowed. Something's wrong. Travis exhaled sharply, like he was already weighing options. I'm flying out tonight. I'll be there before morning. You don't have to. I'm not letting you walk into a police station alone. Not happening. His voice, steady and grounding, loosened the knot in her chest. She didn't admit it out loud, but she needed him. More than she ever had. Before she left Nashville, her security team insisted on a brief check-in. Taylor sat rigid in the SUV, her mind racing as her head of security scrolled through updates on his tablet. Taylor, the call originated from a verified LAPD office, he confirmed. but they refused to disclose the topic. That's unusual. Oh, great, she muttered. Nothing says comfort like police mysteries. They drove to the private terminal, but as she buckled in, her assistant Lindsay called. Taylor, there's more. What now? A journalist from Los Angeles reached out. He said there's a story about to break involving someone who... Just say it. He said the story is about a person who tried to break into your old Laurel Canyon house. Taylor froze. That house hasn't been mine in years. I know. But apparently the incident happened months ago, and the detective assigned to the case recognized the person from somewhere. They traced a connection to you. Her heart thudded. Fast. Hard. Is someone hurt? No. But the guy is, well, obsessed. The plain cabin suddenly felt too small, like the walls were inching in. When she landed in L.A., Travis was already waiting. He looked tired, almost rumpled, like he had sprinted straight from the airport to her SUV. The moment she stepped off the stairs, he wrapped her in his arms. Hey, he whispered into her hair. I've got you. They didn't talk much on the ride to the LAPD station. Taylor stared out the window, watching the city lights blur into long streaks of gold and red. She had lived in L.A. for years, but tonight everything felt colder, darker, unfamiliar. The detectives met her in a small interview room. Gray walls, cheap desk, buzzing light that flickered just enough to irritate her. Travis sat beside her, fingers brushing hers, anchoring her. Detective Ramirez opened a thin folder. Ms. Swift, thank you for coming. We wanted to speak to you directly because the situation involves your safety. Taylor straightened. What happened? A man was arrested 3 months ago for attempting to enter your former residence in Laurel Canyon. At the time, no one understood his motive. But last week, during a routine review, we found his belongings included a handwritten notebook. It contains extensive writing about you. Taylor's stomach dropped. Ramirez continued, sliding a photocopy toward her. This page was dated 2 days before the break-in. She didn't want to read it. Every instinct screamed not to, but she forced herself. The handwriting was uneven, frantic. She promised me she'd come back. She promised me she'd see me again. I know she remembers. I know she feels it too. She sings to me. She's calling me home. Her hands trembled. Travis immediately covered them with his own. There's more, Ramirez said quietly. We brought him in for questioning again. Yesterday, he asked if you had received his message. Taylor's voice cracked. What message? Ramirez exchanged a glance with his partner. That's the part we need to discuss. The room spun. Not violently, slowly, subtly, like the floor was tilting. Travis squeezed her hand harder. Just tell us, he said. Ramirez reached into the folder and pulled out a single object sealed in an evidence bag. A phone. Taylor blinked. What is that? It's a disposable device recovered from his backpack. One call was made from it. To your Nashville studio line. Yesterday. Taylor's blood ran cold. That number isn't public, she whispered. We know, Ramirez said gently. Which is why we believe this is serious. Taylor's jaw tightened. Anger mixed with fear, swirling hot and electric. So he called me, she said slowly. And you think that was the reason you reached out today? Ramirez nodded. Ms. Swift, the man claims he spoke to you, and that you told him what to do next. We don't believe him, but we needed you here to confirm everything. Taylor swallowed. Finally, she understood why they wanted her in Los Angeles. Why their voices were tight. Why the journalist had reached out. This wasn't just a break-in. It was the beginning of something darker. And it wasn't over. Taylor felt her pulse in her throat as the detective placed the evidence bag on the table. The cheap burner phone inside looked almost harmless, just a piece of plastic and metal. But the weight of it, the meaning of it, pressed on her like someone had dropped a boulder on her chest. Travis leaned forward. So you're saying he actually reached Taylor? That he called her studio line yesterday? Ramirez shook his head. We have the outgoing record. What we don't have is proof the call connected. But he says it did. Taylor whispered. Yes. And he insists she spoke to him. The room went silent. Taylor felt her skin prickle, a slow, creeping coldness climbing her spine. She shook her head. I didn't receive any call. My phone didn't ring. No voicemail. Nothing. We know, the detective replied. That's why we're taking his statement as delusional. But there's something else you need to hear. Her heart dropped again. How many more times could it fall before it shattered? Ramirez flipped through the folder and pulled out several printed pages, scans of the man's notebook. He slid them across the table. Taylor reached for them with trembling fingers, but Travis took the papers first. She could tell by the way his jaw clenched that whatever he was reading wasn't good. He turned the second page, then the third. Jesus, he muttered. What? Taylor said, her voice thin. Travis placed the papers gently in front of her. Baby, he wrote about things only someone who's been watching you would know. Taylor stared down. Time slowed. Her eyes skated over the words, erratic sentences, disconnected thoughts, but there were details inside. Specific details. Tiny habits she had. Places she had been on random days. Lyrics she'd rewritten in a notebook she didn't even show her team. How did he know this? She whispered. Ramirez spoke carefully. We believe he's been following you online for years. Cross-referencing photos, fan posts, rumors, satellite images, even analyzing reflections in windows. Taylor felt sick. But the most concerning part, Ramirez continued, is that he wrote about your recent trip to New York. There were no photos, no fan sightings, no leaks. Yet he wrote you were there and described the outfit you wore leaving the hotel. Taylor's stomach turned. That outfit was never photographed. I wore it from the garage to the car. Travis swore under his breath. So, someone leaked it? Someone on our team? Ramirez shook his head. We don't think it was a leak. Taylor froze. What do you mean? Ramirez exhaled. We think he was physically near you. Close enough to see. The words hit her like a punch. She tried to breathe, but it felt like her lungs refused to expand. The air in the room grew heavy, thick. She reached instinctively for Travis, and he wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her against him. I can't, she whispered. I can't believe this. We're handling it, Ramirez said gently. He's in custody, but we need to show you one more thing. He slid a tablet across the table. A pause video filled the screen, grainy, nighttime footage from a street camera. This was recorded 3 nights ago outside your Nashville studio, the detective said. Taylor's heartbeat stuttered. She pressed play. At first, the footage showed nothing but the quiet street, the glow of a street lamp, the parked cars. Then, a figure stepped into the frame. A man, hood up, walking slowly past the entrance gate. Taylor's breath hitched. He stopped, turned, looked directly into the camera like he knew it was there. Then he lifted something. An envelope. He slid it through the metal bars of the studio gate and walked away. Taylor covered her mouth. Is that the guy? Yes, Ramirez confirmed. And the envelope contained a note addressed to you. It arrived at your studio the next morning. Taylor shook her head. But no one told me. We didn't know until today, her head of security said quietly from behind her. It was intercepted during a routine mail sweep. We flagged it for additional screening because it had no return address. Travis tensed beside her. What did the note say? Ramirez pulled out a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a folded piece of paper with the words for Taylor written in shaky handwriting. He opened the printed copy in the folder. You heard me. I know you did. Tell me what you want me to do next. I'll do anything. I'll wait forever. Taylor felt her whole body go light, almost numb. She was floating outside herself, watching the scene from far away. This is escalating, Ramirez said, and that's why we needed you here. The call wasn't an accident. He believes you're communicating, and when a delusion gets that strong, it can become dangerous. Taylor swallowed hard. So what happens now? We're assigning additional protection to you in Nashville and Los Angeles, and we want you to temporarily suspend studio work in the same location he visited. Travis pulled her closer. We're leaving tonight. She's not staying here. Taylor didn't argue. She didn't have the energy. She just stared at the evidence bag on the table, the cheap phone, the envelope, the obsessive words. Somewhere deep inside her, a truth settled like cold stone. This wasn't over. This wasn't even close to over. The air outside the LAPD building felt heavier than the air inside. Los Angeles nights were usually warm, buzzing with life, neon, motion. But as Taylor stepped out with Travis beside her, everything felt muted, muffled, like the entire city was holding its breath. Her security team surrounded them immediately, guiding them to the SUV. Cameras flashed from across the street. Paparazzi who had somehow caught wind that she was here. Their shouts echoed down the block. "Taylor, is it true? Are you pressing charges? Who's threatening you?" Taylor kept her head down, but she felt the tremor in her hands. Travis slid his arm around her shoulders, guiding her forward like a shield. Inside the SUV, the doors shut, sealing them away from the noise. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Taylor stared at her reflection in the dark window. Wide eyes, pale cheeks, mouth tense. She barely recognized herself. "You okay?" Travis finally asked, voice low. She nodded, even though the answer was no. We need to get out of here." "Already handled. Private flights waiting." She looked at him. "You came all this way. Dropped everything. Just because I asked." "No," he said, taking her hand. "Not because you asked. Because you needed me." Her throat tightened. She leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. For the first time all day, she felt like she could breathe. The ride to the airport was quiet. The city lights streaked past in blurred lines, silver, gold, red, like the world was moving too fast while she felt stuck in slow motion. In the terminal lounge, her security spread out, scanning every corner. Travis stayed close, his hand never leaving her back. "You're awfully quiet," he said softly. Taylor exhaled. "I'm trying to wrap my head around it all." He watched me. He was near me. He knew things I never posted, things no one leaked. Travis clenched his jaw. "It's over now." "No," she said quietly. "It's not. Not really." He paused, searching her face. "Tell me what you're thinking." She folded her arms, hugging herself. "I've dealt with stalkers before, but this feels different." He believed I was speaking to him. He believed we had some connection. "It's delusion," Travis said firmly. "Not connection." She nodded, but the fear lingered, stubborn and heavy. When their jet lifted into the sky, leaving Los Angeles glowing beneath them, Taylor closed her eyes. The hum of the engines was soothing, steady, but her mind kept replaying the video, the hooded figure slipping the envelope through the gate, the broken handwriting in the notebook. The line, "She sings to me. She's calling me home." She shivered. Travis noticed immediately. "Cold. No, just thinking." He shifted closer, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I know you're scared, but you're not dealing with this alone. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." She looked at him, really looked at him. His tired eyes, the faint crease in his forehead, the way he held her hand with quiet strength. He wasn't saying it to reassure her. He meant it. "Thank you," she whispered. "Always." The plane touched down in Nashville just after sunrise. A pale pink glow spread across the sky, soft and fragile. Taylor stepped out and inhaled the familiar air, the scent of autumn leaves, faint smoke, damp earth. Home. But even home felt different now. Her security team had already increased measures. Additional guards at the gate, surveillance upgrades, stricter protocols. But when Taylor walked into her house, she felt the echo of something missing, her sense of safety. She sank onto the couch, pulling a blanket around her shoulders. Travis dropped beside her, not saying a word, just letting her exist in the silence. After a long stretch, she finally spoke. "What if he tries again?" "He won't get close," Travis answered. "But what if he does?" she whispered, her voice cracking. Travis turned toward her, cupping her face gently. "Then I'll be here, and we'll deal with it. Together." "Taylor, you're not facing this like you did in the past. I'm in this with you." She felt her chest loosen, just a little. Enough to breathe again. For the first time since the call, she felt a flicker of something besides fear. Strength. Not because she wasn't scared, she was, but because she wasn't standing alone anymore. Later that night, when the house finally quieted, Taylor sat beside the window with her notebook, her real one. Not the song she shared, but the one that held her private thoughts. She wrote a single line. Sometimes the scariest chapters remind you who stands with you when the lights go out. She closed the notebook. Travis walked in, sleepy-eyed, hair messy, wearing one of her sweatshirts. "You coming to bed?" She nodded, sliding the notebook aside. "Yeah." As she curled into him under the blankets, his arms wrapped tight around her, she felt, maybe for the first time that week, that the world wasn't collapsing. That even when someone tried to rewrite her story with darkness, she still got to choose how it ended. And tonight, it ended with peace, with safety, with someone holding her like she mattered more than anything. There were investigations ahead, statements, legal steps, security protocols. But for now, for this moment, Taylor let herself breathe, because she wasn't afraid anymore. Not the way she had been. She had survived the call, the notebook, the note on the gate. And she wasn't alone in the dark anymore.